Right.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the Healers Who Share waters, so I have information on my website, highwattliving.com/healers who share. Michelle and I did a series of videos talking about the actual science of the waters. They're not just, a placebo, drink it and you think something's happening. They're programmed with radionics machines to hold a particular frequency that when you bring the frequency into your body and that frequency meets some of your energy blockage, it helps to collapse the energy of your energy blockage so that it can transmute. And so when we pair these waters with these clearings, it is like kind of like the 1-2 punch for all your blocks. So so then that would bring us down then to November. So in November, I'm very excited. In November, we're going to be clearing depression. So I've worked with several clients who have come to me with depression, and always, there are 4 certain factors there. And so I've always wanted to put together a group clearing and an audio for clearing depression so that people can just always go back to it when depression sinks in. If there's some people who are just chronically depressed, for some people it's an energy that comes and goes, and we're going to address the energy that shows up that makes it calm. Like some people can say, like, I can feel it coming on. What that is usually is old energies that are stagnant. Source energy can't get into you when you've got those heavy energies coming up. And so the first thing we're going to address in the clearing depression is the vibration of shame. So without question, a lot of the time depression, what it'll be is that there's stored up anger that you don't feel like you're allowed to feel. So you're angry about something, but you don't feel like you're allowed to feel the anger. So the anger gets trapped in there. And then the reason you don't feel like you're allowed to feel it is because the anger is cloaked in shame. So the first night we're going to be clearing shame. And then the second night, we're going to be getting to the root of, like, what is that anger? It's probably something you don't even remember. It's probably something from so long ago, and you just didn't or don't feel like you're allowed to be angry about it. So the energy just sits there, and it gives you pain. It gives you, it can show you something in your body. If your shoulder hurts, your back hurts, or if your heart is heavy, or when that energy is unfelt, it becomes blockage. It becomes heavy in the body. So the waters that we have chosen for the Clearing Depression Month are aimed at, the 3 waters are shame, the vibration of shame, anger, and then the third one is called return to joy. So Michelle, maybe you can tell us, so the first one is shame. So what's the shame water going to do in the body?
So yeah, it's called Shame Antidote, and Shame Antidote, Anger Antidote have been around. We've had those for a long time in our emotional category of formulas at Healers Who Share, and they are the counter vibration. So yeah, the Shame Antidote is the counter vibration to shame. So what it does is it starts to transmute that heavy load of shame, right? Like that we may not even be conscious of most of it, but it's kind of, it's in our energy field, and it's super dense. So
it's the lowest vibration on the entire scale of consciousness.
Right. So it's dense. We often are not aware that that's the thing that's pulling us down, unless you're like actively, consciously working with it. But it's there. And so as you use the antidote, it's the counter vibration to it, right? So it starts to lift that heavy load out of your system. So you can start to get some perspective, right? Because you're not so mired in that dense energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of it now, and
so Michelle is, oh, there you go.
Was it freezing?
It was freezing. Michelle's in the middle of a hurricane in Connecticut. So you're fine now.
Good. Okay. So, so the way that antidote works is it's that gentle lifting. I don't know if that part got cut off, but it is like a gentle transmutation and lifting. But what it also does is, and what we've seen with the emotional antidote waters is it starts to bring your own personal blocks to the surface gently, so that as you do the clearing, they're just right at the surface and easier to clear. Like, how you go through a clearing, you often ask people questions, right? You're digging into their energy. You're asking them questions. You're asking us to like kind of let the stuff come up. The water really helps bring that to the surface and helps it clear easier because you're bringing in that counter vibration. So I actually really love working with the emotional antidotes best with your work. I think they pair best with your work because it's good to have a process to move yourself through releasing that stuff. But I
Right.
like, you know, how you have it set up where you're starting to take it first because it starts to shake it loose. So
Yep.
you start to get that lightness and that, you know, that bigger perspective where you can kind of be the witness to it rather than just being in it. So
Right.
that's how both the shame and the anger antidotes work. That's like the mechanism of those formulas. The return to joy is more of a resonance water. So that's more of a evoking from within you that resonance of joy, right? Like dialing that one up more
Yeah.
so that you're dialing up the resonance of joy. As you do that within yourself, you know, it just starts to get reflected back to you in your world more easily too. So that one's
Right.
more of like you're clearing out with the antidotes, and with the resonance, you're filling back in with a strong resonance. So
Right.
and joy, I feel like is perfect to balance that out. So as you are going deep into this old stuff and clearing it, the joy will keep you light. You know, it'll help
Yes.
balance that out.
Yes. So from my perspective, when people are taking the anger antidote and the shame antidote, all the energy, all the old anger that's been stuck, a lot of the times when someone finds themselves depressed, they can't really pinpoint. They're like, I don't know what I would be angry about, or I don't, you know, I don't, they can't, they're just like, I don't want to be depressed, but I don't know what I would be angry about, because it's just so deep in there, and it's dormant, right? It's so old. They're not actually consciously angry about it anymore. So they have trouble pinpointing what it is. So the shame and anger antidote waters help to break up the energy so that your awareness can start having, you know, some aha moment and being like, oh yeah, that's where that came from. And the questions that I ask in the clearings will help you to you know, to dig. So by the time I ask you the questions and by the time we get to the clearing and I'm prompting you with certain things, all that energy, all the information from the energy, from the shame and the anger, all of it comes up, and you'll be able to remember what it is. And then with the return to joy, I have, if you go on highwalkliving.com/possibility and you look at the descriptions of the waters, I added to the end of the return to joy, this is Jackie's favorite formula, because this is my favorite formula. Michelle sent it to me one time when I was having I was doing a certain water, and I was having a certain emotional reaction, and I was just getting a little bit anxious, which I don't normally get anxious. And so she was like, let me send you the return to joy, just so that you can be moving through the energy. You can be moving through the thing you're clearing without the anxiety. And so I took the return to joy, and it just kind of, you get to be in that vibration of joy while simply being the observer of the anger and shame. So and, you know, for every month we have 2 waters. And I just said, you know, for the clearing depression for November, we have to do 3, because I really want people to be in the vibration of the joy while the shame is coming up, while the anger is coming up, so that they can be more of the observer of those energies instead of just being locked into them and just, you know, getting stuck in them. And the return to joy is also just a really good one that I want people to have on hand, because, you know, if you're having a lot of people will get hormonal depression, like hormonal lows, or, you know, just kind of like a passing energy that they're not moving through with ease. And so by having the return to joy on hand, you just kind of always get to move into that resonance easily, you know, if and when you need it. So 3 waters for November: shame antidote, anger antidote, and return to joy. And I'm excited for people to be able to do those clearings so that they can refer to them anytime depression starts to sneak in. You'll be able to say, all right, what is this round about? What is coming up to be cleared? What is it that I'm trying not to see that is completely messing with my ability to feel the joy that is natural to me? And so I'm so happy to be able to do that one. And then we'll move into December.